to Momentum in Real Estate, your guide to success in the dynamic world of real estate. I'm Cory Wolf.
And I'm Kristen James. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, we're here to help you reach new heights.
Success in real estate comes from learning, growing, and serving others.
Join us as we dive into strategies for lead generation, marketing, market trends, and client relationships.
Get ready to ignite your momentum and achieve your goals in real estate.
Let's dive in and unlock your full potential.
This is Momentum in Real Estate.
Hey friends, meet Melissa Flint, a real estate professional with heart, hustle, and a whole lot of experience. As a military spouse of over 20 years, she knows firsthand the challenges of moving and brings tenacity, honesty, and empathy to every transaction. Her clients rave about her responsiveness and unwavering support, and yes, she believes in having a little fun along the way too. Welcome to the Momentum in Real Estate podcast, Melissa.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thanks, Melissa. So our very first question to you is, tell us about your real estate story in your own words.
Real estate for many people isn't their first career choice. For whatever reason, it's not like, oh, I want to be a realtor. Or I have been a stay-at-home mom for most of my kids growing up, and we were stationed overseas for 7 years. And in that time, I was like, okay, we're going back to the United States. What do I want to be when I grow up? My kids are older. And so I put it out to Facebook, my friends and family, and I got teacher and nurse, which nurse I could never do. Teacher, yes, maybe. But my very good friend said you should be a real estate agent. You sold the heck out of your house. Your realtor loved you. And I really did enjoy it. So even though we moved here in 2020, I was still scared. I was scared of settlement statements and all the paperwork. And I thought that's what our responsibility was. Obviously, it's important, but the relationship building is my favorite part, and that's where I tend to shine. So I yeah, once I got over that, my realtor encouraged me to take the class and get going, and it just took off. And I feel like I should have been doing this for years, but honestly, I wasn't really ready until then. So
That's awesome. I feel like our paths probably are pretty similar. I think we all got started around the same time, and like you, came from different backgrounds and industries into real estate. But I think both Cory and I were definitely attracted to the relational component and just the ability to influence and really help people. So yeah, very similar thread lines there. Tell us briefly about your brokerage relationships. Have you been with the same brokerage the whole time? Have you moved? Like, what's that been like for you?
So I interviewed several brokerages, and I am a feelings person. Like I have to feel like where I'm at is good. And my brokerage, I've been with them since day one, and I've had a few people approach me for other brokerages, and I'm just like, this is my family. I could not imagine being anywhere else or doing this with anybody else. Like I absolutely love my family, my Century 21 family here locally, and then we have other branches too. And my favorite part about it is that everyone's cheering each other on. It's not this competition. It's like we are bettering each other, and we love doing business together and referring people to the different offices. It's fun. I enjoy it very much.
Oh, that's so great. So have you've been with them from the start from 2020? Oh, that's great. Okay, awesome. Something we found out about you is that you're really good at managing clients' expectations and their emotional resilience. So let's dig into that a little bit. So how do you maintain composure when facing challenging client situations?
Well, I have to say that it practice makes perfect, right? one of the things that I love about my broker is that he's like, there's no such thing as a real estate emergency. You are the calm in the storm. If you're emotional, they're really emotional. And the longer that you're in it, you also kind of become kind of desensitized to it. So it's this constant battle of, or not balance of putting yourself in their shoes, having empathy for what they're going through. And then I also, as far as setting expectations, I work with buyers and sellers. So I let buyers know this is where this is the seller's perspective. This is the buyer's perspective. When you become a buyer, this is, what are you going to want? When you sell your home, what are your expectations? Always constantly putting yourself in the other person's shoes helps a lot.
Well, and that's so interesting that you say that, because that sort of leads to the next question, because I think that's really where a lot of our strength comes from, is being able to like put ourselves in, the shoes of not only our client but the other party. But how do you then actually detach yourself kind of emotionally and even financially from the results of the transaction? Like, I find a lot of our problems come when we inject ourselves, but it's also like it's two sides of the same coin, where you want to like be in the experience with your client, but not overly insert yourself. So, are there ways that you've learned how to detach yourself?
I am the unemotional third party, which if anyone knows me, knows that I'm like just a ball of emotions. Like I feel everything. But to detach it is essentially, it took time and practice and making some mistakes and knowing that sometimes there's just not anything that you can do. You're not in control of the universe. And um, you're not responsible for all of the outcomes, and neither are they. And some things are just out of our hands. We're going to do the very best that we can, and that's all we can really do. I think it helps when you are doing several transactions. If one falls apart, that's going to happen. It's not as devastating financially to you. But when, let's say it is financially devastating to you if one falls through, I would say you need to look at it as you are building trust with, let's say you're working with a buyer and crawl space has water in it, it's buyer final walkthrough, and you're supposed to go sign on the dotted line. And it's like, but you build trust with them and say, you know what, if this isn't right, we're not able to make it right now, and it's important to wait. And that person will always come back to you. They will always send people your way. They have a trust with you. You really cannot let the money come before the client, because you will put yourself out of business.
That's so well said. And something in our coaching groups that we talk about so often is like inserting yourself into the deal. And that is exactly what you're preaching to. Like it's so hard not to, because we all take it so personally. Like we try to treat our transactions right, like they're our own, and to not insert yourself, because it's not your problem. You're just a realtor. I always humble myself. I'm like, I'm just a real estate agent. Like there's no big deals going on here. It's not an emergency, right?
And I've seen it where on the other side, the agent is really getting emotionally like drawn into it. And I've found myself like trying to calm that storm a little bit. Or they've put themselves into the pricing of the property and what their emotional attachment to it is. One guy was like, I want to buy this property. This seller really knows what he's got. I'm like, it's been on the market for 300 and some days. Don't think so. I think it's so many different people in the transaction, and just trying to keep the emotion out of it and treat it like a business, but also having enough heart to know that there are real people involved.
Yes. I'll share a funny story and then I'll ask you my next question. But one realtor that I worked with, we came back with, there's like vinyl. I don't know if they do this in Alaska, but there's this vinyl ductwork that's like super old, like 1960s. And it's a fire hazard. And my clients were just asking for simple things before they moved in that were like, dangerous.
Yeah.
And
Health and life
this,
safety.
yeah, and this realtor said, anybody with $10 and a screwdriver can get that done, Cory. And I was like, oh, so again, inserting yourself. So I was like, okay, I understand, but if you don't mind taking this to the sellers, that would be great. Like, I'm glad you feel like it's that easy, but
Yeah. Are
oh my
you
goodness.
licensed, bonded, and insured?
Yes.
If so, go ahead and do it.
So good. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Please
Um,
provide an invoice.
yes, exactly. We didn't get to talk about, and something I really want to dig into is how is your business now? How has it been in the last 5 years? Like, when did you ramp up? What's your clientele like? All those, I mean, that's a lot of questions in one, but I'm sure you know it well enough.
Um, so when I first started out, it was my broker leads and things like that, some paid leads. And after that first year, we do business planning and was like, okay, I'm switching this. It's going to be more of the people that I know. But when I moved here, I didn't have a sphere really. So I didn't know anyone. When you're in the military, you have to like really insert yourself into the community. And at that time it was 2020, which very difficult to insert yourself into the community. But military has always been my heart. That's our lives, you know. And so a lot of my clientele are military. When you build trust in that community, there is so much loyalty there. And it's one of my favorite things about being a military family. Alaska is very transient. We have a lot of industry and we have military bases and it's just natural resources, just so many different things that our market has. It's usually slower to be affected by slower markets in the lower 40, what I've noticed with government shutdown and some of the insecurities about our economy. We're starting to see things slow down a little bit more here. Our sellers are seeing longer days on market. They're having to provide more for the buyers. We're having less buyers showing up in the marketplace. It's making sellers have to work a little bit harder for that. So,
Yeah, that
and
oh yeah, go ahead.
pricing is been probably more complicated in the last 3 to 6 months than it's been the entire time I've been in real estate. Coming into it like 2020, 2021, it was just like anybody could sell a house. You know, you could price it and then it's just gonna fly off the internet so fast, make your head spin. You have got to know what you're doing and have a plan and be able to talk to sellers after you have had only a couple of showings and they really thought it was gonna go. You've got to know your market and be able to report it to them and just show them what you're doing. And
Yeah,
sometimes it's
that's
a
right.
waiting game where it hasn't been.
Yeah, exactly. I think so much of what we've had to do is really just become educators and really just be that kind of guide for reflecting what's happening in the market to our buyers and sellers. We say all the time, like, we don't set the market, we don't control the market, we respond to the market. And so we have to like help position our clients to navigate kind of the trends and the ups and the downs. But I think what you're seeing in Alaska is certainly what we're seeing in our region and nationwide, really, in terms of just different behavior on the part of sellers and what's needed to actually sell their house. I mean, I think we've all had that experience of like selling a house that had one or two showings, and it sat on the market for a couple of months, and it was like you couldn't pay people to come look at a house. It's like, what is
No.
happening? And yet it sold. And so it's such an interesting dynamic. And for all of us, it's a new dynamic, because we've been in the game a while, but not that long to have seen kind of the wild ups and downs.
I think what's interesting is, normally if it doesn't have, if it's not getting showings or it's getting showings, but no offers, it's price. But what we're seeing now is even lowering the price isn't quite hitting that price point yet. It's just number of buyers and it's just going to
Mm,
take time. So
mhm.
this is one of the first times where I've been like, I don't know that the price decrease is going to do what you want it to do. It may
Right,
be just timing.
right.
And I haven't had to say those words. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay. But being able to say, to look at the market and say that and adjust to it, my goal is to be quicker each time. But yeah, that one took me by surprise a little bit.
yeah. Well, one of the topics, this is sort of switching gears a little bit, but I want to make sure we have time to go deep is a hot topic right now is AI and really how we as realtors can really leverage that technology to streamline our transactions, our operations, and not lose the humanness of what we do. And I think that's the tension that we're experiencing in our industry and certainly in other industries too. But so I'd love to dive into that topic and find out from you, like, what are some things that how are you leveraging AI, whether it's in social media, listing management, systems, checklists, like unpack that for us because we're using it, but I think it'd be really helpful to our audience to find out just different ways. It's like a brainstorming session.
I went to a Century 21 top producer thing and they had a real grader there and they go through and they grade your social media and it's a little humbling because they do it right in front of you.
Mhm.
Um, but one of the things that they did as part of their service, and I've seen this, other companies have this service, but they did such a fantastic job, was they created an AI that was me. They literally put like all of my, they AI pulled everything about me, everything that the internet could find about me, and then became like that's my little AI person. I don't know, but it helps to sound more like me. I think that anytime you use AI, it should sound like you, like your AI should get to know you. It's supposed to be like your friend or whatever. It's so unusual to me, but just having that voice of who you are and what you're trying to show. If I was this like super analytical, all of the stats and all that, and I didn't include anything fun or anything quirky or like this, I have this mom kind of a persona, you know, I'm everybody's mom. So, but if it came off as different, like, it just wouldn't be me. And so I think if you can keep it yourself and just to be tweaking it. I love it for, writing property descriptions, but if you see nestled in or, there's like definite like AI cues that this was written by somebody else, but I love to just put it in there and kind of brainstorm like, oh, maybe I should look at it like this or look at it like that, or it'll pull in some crazy stat about Eagle River that I didn't even think about including. And so I think that everything should be with a little bit of balance. It should always be you and personal, but get the help. It's so, so dynamic. Help it with for your systems and checklists and, you know, what you're just, yeah, I think systems and checklists is the next biggest thing. And I'm still learning how to do the market analysis and things like that with it. I feel like I've scratched the surface, but I think it's exciting, but it's still got to have that humanity in there.
Yeah, something I've been doing lately that's really helpful has been like grabbing all the data analytics that I do for my sellers weekly and plugging it into AI and asking it to give me like the actual breakdown because I feel like as realtors, we're not as most of us are not analytical people. Kristen, I feel like is more than anybody else I've met.
Kristen in.
But yeah, Kristen. But it just helps me make the all the little details like a big picture synopsis to make it under and sometimes I'll write it like please write this in the email so that a sixth grader could understand it or like specifically say the audience that I want so it's not but yeah it's really awesome. It's great. So when you say checklist, like have it help you with your checklist and like give us some examples.
This over the past 2 years, I have been trying to delegate more so that I can be more of like the face of my business to go out and meet people and get to do my favorite part, right? I want to be the person that's doing the showings. I want to be the person that's face to face. I want to go to the home inspection. I want to go to the closings. So I have the transaction coordinator that I work with is, oh, she's, I say, thank God for Jesus and Jessica Taplin. Oh my God, she's so good. I have so much trust and faith in her, and she helps me so much. And then also, I have a marketing person that helps with everything. Nora is, she knows my voice. She understands me, and it took time to do that. But I've never run a business before. I've never had a team of any, and this isn't like a real estate team, but we're a little family. And so figuring out some checklists of like who does this and who does that and where do these overlap? How do I separate those two positions, or where do I fit into those positions? And they'll give you a checklist and stuff you hadn't even thought of. What does a transaction coordinator do for a buyer or seller? And it's just like, I use her lists, honestly. And that was one of the suggestions I got. Go off of what your transaction coordinator does. Don't reinvent the wheel. So I follow her. She takes the lead in that regard. One of the things with the checklist for social media, I mean, social media for AI is unbelievable. I have a coach, and he does some of that kind of stuff, but I couldn't do a coaching call. So he worked with my social media person, and they did a whole calendar. Now she utilizes it every month, and it's so much easier for her too. She's not having to reinvent the wheel all of the time. And so I think just making life easier in general and giving you a good framework. Yeah.
I love that. And, it's so, I think there's countless ways to use technology to make our work and our lives easier. I mean, I think about ways that I even incorporate it into my personal life outside of my business. It's just like learning how to leverage the tools to create more efficiencies and help you focus on the things that really matter and the people that really matter. And so I see it as more, I know there's people that are afraid of it, just like they might be afraid of any new tool or technology. But I feel like it's something we should embrace and continue to just learn more about how to leverage well and, figure out creative ways to integrate it into our businesses. I know
And
that you,
always,
yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say, and always say please and thank you to AI. Be
I don't
kind.
know. I have heard that, and I've also read that when you put those extra words in, it actually slows down the processing speed.
Yeah.
So I have not done that. I usually just say like, it'll be like, do you want me to do? And I'll be like, sure. So I just say sure.
No.
So I don't know. It's interesting. I've just read different trains of thought on that,
Yep.
but one other thing I wanted to dive into with you, just knowing that you've been a top producing agent, you have a very successful business, but you also have a family and, you have we're all multidimensional, right? So we have other things in our life that take up our time and energy and heart. And how have you found ways to build routines that support your success, but also I don't know that I like the word boundaries, but just like your ability to be attentive to your business and be attentive to your family and other, interests and hobbies and life outside of real estate. What are some things that have been successful or helpful for you in your career?
Well, my broker has been preaching to me for years and years and years how important your schedule is. Schedule, follow your schedule. Um, and I'm a work in progress for sure, but getting up early, I am by nature a night owl, but I have kind of just transitioned into this early morning riser because I can get so much done in the morning before everybody wakes up. I mean, even just my own personal time in the morning, it's so important for me to just have that, like, that just me time in the morning to read and, have a little gratitude, just get started on the right foot. And then I would say the biggest thing that gives me time with my family and friends is vetting business, vetting buyers, vetting showings, vetting listings. And then also, like, some things are out of my control and some things can wait till tomorrow. They don't have to be done right now. I've always been a person who's like, see it, do it. But sometimes that's not healthy. Sometimes you have to take care of things, do what you're supposed to do, but some things can wait until tomorrow. And then I got really good at, I wouldn't say really good, but better and better at delegating and then asking for help. If my son had wrestling last year, I had a couple people lined up that could do showings for me that I knew would do a great job. And I would introduce them to my clients so that they would know them. And I didn't miss a single wrestling meet. And now he's graduated. All my babies are grown and I don't have that regret. I got to go. And so that's way more important to me than I remember this one lead. I didn't fully qualify them because I was in a hurry and it was going to make me late for something. This was like 3 years ago. And I was like, man, I should have qualified this guy. And I didn't because I was in a hurry. And I was like, I could have saved myself 2 hours of my life with driving, doing the showing, all of this, driving back. And so that taught me one of the biggest lessons, always pre-qualify. They may want to see it right now. Well, we like to see things quickly too. I do too. But pre-qualifying any lead, buyer or seller, and then try to get home at night. I got home at like 8 o'clock last night, but not every night. You can't, or you'll just wear out. So I try to be home by 6 o'clock every night, unless it's like a Thursday or Friday. That's tough because those are our biggest showing nights for me anyway.
That kind of makes sense. Yeah, I feel like there's not as many ball games and things going on, so I get that. Um,
Yeah.
so you talked about like pre-qualifying your buyers and sellers. Like, what are your biggest indicators to assess a buyer or seller's readiness? Or what qualifying questions do you ask?
So I have a list that it's on a sheet. It's one of my systems for their contact information, and it just goes through and it's like time frame to purchase. Are they pre-approved? Is this a cash purchase? Why are they? What is their motivation? Motivation, I would say, is one of the biggest ones, buyer or seller wise. Timing. Sometimes they're not always completely honest with their timing or they just don't quite know for sure. And then I'm I love the buyer service agreement that we have to do. I think that's like one of the best things when it comes to buyers is it just cuts out all of the nonsense. Like they're committing to you. And with that commitment and pre-approval, we will go. No problem. And I have also gotten more comfortable saying, and it helps, being in for a little bit longer. Probably would have never said this the first year. It's just like, no, I'm trying to help as many buyers and sellers as possible right now. And showing property, if you're going to put in, I really don't show property unless you're really able to put in an offer on it. I'm all for checking out neighborhoods or things like that, but I don't think it's a good idea to go to a house without knowing what you can afford. There's nothing more frustrating than finding out you can't afford this house and it still didn't check all your boxes. So let's get started on the right foot and get pre-qualified, look at the houses that you can buy and put an offer in and move quickly if you want to. I think that it's especially important with buyers.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it's a different ball game, on the seller side and the buyer side, but yeah, I think your point about really investigating motivation is true on both sides, because I don't want to take a listing if I don't have a motivated seller, because it's going to be painful and it's going to be slow and they're going to be frustrated and they're going to look for someone to blame. And so I think that's really wise to keep that like at the forefront on both sides, with sellers and with buyers, to really determine and discern who's ready to take action, and then you're the one who's ready to help them, move forward.
I had really great advice when I first started too, and it said, so I was like, I just don't know who to help first. I don't know how to prioritize. And she said, think about who you can help this week. Who needs help this week? Start there and then go out. That's the very best thing. Who can you help this week? And that's when I started to be like, you know what? I could do a deal a week. I can help one person a week. I can do that. And then it just kind of compounds. But that was some of the best advice I got.
That's so good. I love that. I like need to write that down right now.
Yeah. Carmen
Simple.
from Anchorage, Alaska, she taught me that. And I have kept it with me always. Like,
Mhm.
okay, who can I help this week? Who can we help?
Oh, I love that. What do you feel? I mean, it sounds like your schedule is a big part of what I'm about to ask, but what routines supports your sustained success? Like what kinds of things? You talked about waking up early. What other things?
I try to do all of my appointments, personal or business, in the afternoon. You guys are actually smack in the middle of my admin time. I have admin, phone a friend, which is prospecting, and then follow up, and then lunch. And I really try to have lunch with my husband or a friend or a past client or something like that, a few times a week at least. And then appointments are in the afternoon. If I don't have appointments, I'm, digging into the stuff. I try my hardest not to do admin because Jessica's got it. She's got it. She's awesome. But and just to create more business.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. And then Sundays is my family day. I take Sundays off. Typically, we should have seen the house. If it's been on the market, no houses usually come on the market on Sundays for us. And it's a very easy day to just tell my family too, like, hey, Sundays, it's us.
That's good. Yeah, I do the same. It's important to just take the time off. Otherwise, you'll burn yourself out. Quit.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to have to get ready, go anywhere, do anything. But here we go four-wheeling. I love that. That's one of my favorite things to do, get out into nature with my family. Just maybe get out of cell service for a little while. That's nice.
Never a bad idea.
Yeah. They're like, oh, this plane's Wi-Fi is terrible. Oh.
Oh, well, Melissa, this has been such a good conversation, and we're so appreciative of your time and just sharing kind of some insight into your business and your life. And I know that our listeners and viewers will have a lot to take away from this, just in terms of the grind and how to really build in some things that create health and sustainability, really, because we want to do this for the long haul and not burn out. So I appreciate your insight and just what you've offered in our conversation today. So thank
Thank
you
you.
for your
I
time.
had a good time. Yeah,
Thanks,
definitely.
Melissa. I hope you have a fantastic day.
I will. You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Momentum in Real Estate. We hope you found valuable insights and strategies to propel your real estate journey forward.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to deliver content that resonates with you. Remember, success in real estate is about continuous learning, growth, and serving others. Keep that momentum going and watch your business thrive.
Until next time, keep pushing forward and bringing your real estate dreams to life.
This is Cory Wall
And Kristen James signing off from Momentum in Real Estate.